You are all welcome to today's class, and the theme for the lectures is new product development strategies. New product development strategies. By the end of the lecture, we envisage to tackle what new product development constitutes and how it can be applied to the development of technologically driven products. We will specifically use the stage gate model to appreciate how new products can be developed and presented on a commercial basis once all the test requirements have been satisfied. And finally, we will also tackle building competencies through new product development, the degree to which employees and organizations get to experience a repository of talented workforce as well as a talented enterprise as a result of the product development stages that they may be witnessing. Generally speaking, it is a universal truism that managers consensusly view new products as a chance for them to jump on the competition ladder, in the sense that if they are successful in developing new products, which is coming to solve an uncharted problem in the community of practice, then definitely it will grant them a leverage over existing technologies and companies. What then is a new product development landscape? So new product development can be likened to the systematic process which leads to the transformation of a technological concept, which may be likened to a beautiful idea or intuition that individuals may be having, which is eventually turned into a market-ready product that can address pressing problems of customers. The key feature of a new product development is that it functions as a bridge. It functions as a bridge by connecting theoretical ideas that individuals may possess or come across as a result of their interaction in academia, in industry, or in within the quiet experimentation of individuals. Once these ideas are transitioned from a theoretical basis into a real-world deployable outcome, then we say a new product development has successfully bridged the gap between theory and practice. But it is fraught with a number of challenges, in the sense that new product development does not come to an end out of vacuum, but a lot of resources, both financially and time, will have to be invested painlessly into it. In the same vein, for the product to be accepted, particularly on the commercial basis, it has to adhere to and comply with international standards that's maintained in that community of practice. And so for a new product to be deemed as successful, for a new product to be deemed as successfully developed, it requires huge sums of capital injection, time investments, organizational attention, and also adherence to the rules of engagement in that community of practice, which all of which have to be navigated. The core strategic levers of new product development is threefold, and they include the architecture strategy, which borders on how to design the system so that it can grow and adapt. The modularity of the architecture strategy borders on the breaking of the architectural system into separate building blocks, such as maybe the hardware components and the software components. Whereas the scalability aspect of the architecture strategy, as far as the core strategic levers of new product development is concerned, also revolves around making sure that the system can handle several users or several devices, or maybe different categories of data in the future without a full redesign of the whole system. A typical example would be a situation where there is the creation of a base station where a hardware is fixed, but it can be upgraded to embrace software elements such as a switch from 4G to a 5G network and what have you. If that is the strategy or the philosophy behind the new product development, then we are talking about it from an architectural structure. We can also have the standardization structure as far as the core strategic levers for new product development is concerned. The standardization strategy also draws inspiration from how to position the products in relation to international standards. So the operative word here is standardization. The products or the technology that is being channeled should be an outcome that does not deviate from the standards which have been mounted to regulate the operation within a given community of practice. Then the validation strategy. The validation strategy also implies that the new product that is being developed should be able to work in real world conditions. It has to do with the degree to which the testing of the efficacy and applicability of the product will satisfy all the conditions that require it to be functioning in the real world environment. And these so key metrics that can be used when it comes to the validation include its latency. So how quick the signals of the product can travel. Apart from the latency, we may also look at its jitter, the volatility or variations in the signal timing, and issues about spectral efficiency, how much data can be sent over a limited radio spectrum. Now, if the product satisfy these parameters very well, then it means that it can be scaled up for commercialization. So these are the levers for new product development as far as core strategic imperatives are concerned. Beyond the core strategic levers, there is a structured process which can be adopted to regulate and cushion the entire new product development process so that it does not result in unworthy spendings, wastage and breakages of materials, and making sure that at the end of the day, the company is able to get value for money. And so that is the standard new product development process, often known as the stage gate model. So the stage gate model is a product development process that ensures that the money that companies are spending to research into a particular product development is not wasted, and the time that they are also spending does not go wasted. They should be able to get value for money. And this is important because when companies spend a lot of money on research and product development, they need a way to avoid wasting time and money on bad ideas. So what is the system that can help them review the varied ideas that may be pitched to the research and development laboratories of tech companies to select the most suitable and promising ones, whilst jettisoning the feeble ones out of their docket. So that is the stage gate model. Now it operates by breaking the entire project or development process into stages. And that is why we call it stage gates. The entire development of the new products is fractioned into a number of stages, with each stage representing an integral part of the entire process. And as you move from one stage to the other, there is value addition to the preceding one to make the idea more workable and convincing. Now, the stages are essentially the various steps where the teams or the group that are trying to develop the new product get to work. So it will require them to brainstorm and fine-tune the idea, design prototypes, test the prototypes in the laboratory, and eventually bring it to an environment that can mimic and bring it to the real world to also test until all concerns and questions about the product are addressed, rendering it ready for the market. So those pillars are the stages. Then it is also composed of a number of gates. After each stage, there might be one or two gates for a specific purpose. And these gates sort of serve as a checkpoint where managers and the team members that are developing the new products may contemplate and decide whether it is important for them to continue the product development or they should abort it altogether. So the stages are the various decision actions that are championed, while the gates are the pedestal which gives them a mirror to know whether they have to continue the project or stop it altogether. And so some specific decision gates may recommend for them to go forward, which implies that all that is transpiring in the interim is in line with their projections in the theory. And so they can continue to experiment to see if they can actually scale it up. Then another gate is kill, which implies there is the need for the entire project to come to a halt because it may be too risky or not profitable as it was theoretically envisaged. Another gate could also suggest hold, which implies there is the need for them to wait or pause until certain issues are clarified. And there may also be the recommendation from a gate to recycle the entire process, which suggests that there is the need to go back from portions where they have spotted corrections and effect those corrections to trigger the entire process to work again. And this is essential since without some of these checks and balances or gates, it is likely that the entire product development process will come to an end with no utility or contribution to organizational success. And that will be an exercise in futility. So typically, if assuming the intention is to develop, the intention is to develop a 5G antenna. If that is the idea which an organization wants to transform from a theoretical or an idea stage into a final product that can be commercialized, then the stage gate model will suggest that, first of all, the idea of generating the new 5G antenna has to be deliberated upon, brainstormed to actually find best approaches which can be used to implement such an idea. And a typical gate for the first stage, which will be the ideation stage, is to review it technically, whether it is possible to do so. So which will require that you have to review the current 4G or LTE spectrum which is available to see its functionalities and possibility, whether it can be improved upon to get to the 5th generation model. Then the second stage, beyond the ideation stage, under the development of a new 5G antenna will be the creation of a prototype, or more or less a sample which can be tested beyond the theoretical idea. And the gates that can be accompanying a prototype will require a review of the prototype to verify whether operators will be interested in buying or subscribing to it. Beyond the second gate, which is the building of a sample, will also give room for the testing, which is where you actually test the sample in a laboratory. So the test stage will be testing. And when you are testing such a model in the laboratory, one thing that can constitute a gate will be reviewing or testing its reliability or cost effectiveness. If these checks and balances are able to convince management and targeted customers who get to be presented with this model of a 5G antenna, then it suffices to say that it has passed and must move on to be launched. So the bottom line is that the state gate grants individuals or um, research and development laboratories of tech firms to actually test out their ideas which may be available theoretically to see if it can actually come to reality. We are going to look at the key stages in the stage gates model, the key stages in the stage gate model. Depending on the document or text you will read, they are likely to expand it beyond 4 parameters. So if it were to be a product in the automobile industry, the stages can be broken down to accommodate several facets. But in the telecommunication industry, generically speaking, there are 4 stages that find expression in the stage gate model. And these include the ideation or the idea generation stage, the idea screening and making a business case stage, the development or prototyping stage, and finally the testing and validation stage. So when we talk of the first stage, which is the idea generation stage, it is the aspect of the stage gate model which strives to collect smart ideas to verify whether these ideas can actually address real world problems for which customers are facing or for which other companies that patronize the goods and services of an organization will be facing. And once these smart ideas are identified, they get to be written down or documented. And the documentation components is necessary because if the ideas continue to stay in the minds of individuals, then it can never be shared on a convergent platform where these ideas can be polished, fine-tuned, and presented for further action. Normally, the ideas which are generated at the first stage come from several avenues, including the publications which may be churned out by master's students like yourself or PhD candidates or professors that are researching in the field in question. So when some of these ideas are theorized, then it gives an opportunity for the ideas to be experimented to see whether indeed they can actually be utilized in resolving real world problems or providing solutions to targeted problems. Beyond academia or generating some of these ideas from research, other avenues which may fuel the idea generation, as far as the stage gate model is concerned, is standard groups. and when I make reference to standard groups, I am talking about bodies that are internationally acclaimed and responsible for regulating the operation in a given community of practice. So we can think of the 3GPP, the third generation partnership project, which is responsible for coming out with best practices to regulate the rollout of 3G, 4G, and 4G, 5G, and these days, 6G, 6G regulations, right? So whenever telecommunication companies share their proposals for future technologies, it is expected that they will draw from such bodies to make sure they are actually doing something right. Then such ideas may also be obtained from specific companies that come across as customers to the telecommunication company, which is trying to generate the idea. So it is possible that GCTU, as an example, will rise to or speak with Telecel Ghana to provide some unique services that are currently not available in their products or services they are delivering. And this may require the creation or development of a new portfolio altogether. So in that regard, a specific institution can also communicate an idea to an organization in order for them to scheme out a solution for it. And so that can also be an avenue. Once the idea is generated and documented in a form of a proposal or concept statement, then it becomes necessary for the second stage to kick in. And the second stage is the idea screening and business case stage. Idea screening and business case stage. The philosophy behind the idea screening stage is to holistically consider all the ideas that have been generated to filter out the weak ones whilst maintaining the stronger ones on the basis of their feasibility and financial worthiness. So it is possible a number of ideas might have been generated through brainstorming, through the feedback from customers, through the peruse of academic research to see innovative ideas that are now being that are now gaining attention or traction. And based on that, company can champion them by only screening them to actually identify the ones that have future or that align with their core strategy. Now, key considerations during the screening is to ascertain whether intellectual property, so whether the company can eventually patent the property and earn an intellectual property for its development. This is important because if the entire exercise that the company is going to go through to develop the products is already registered in another company's name, then it will rather be appropriate for them to sort for the services of such company or to do something totally different from it, so that in the long run they will earn the rights to own that particular idea. Then beyond the intellectual property, you can also talk about the capital expenditure or another consideration such as the cost impacts to discern whether it will require higher capital to implement. Now, these considerations are important because sometimes you may end up having a beautiful idea, but no financial muscle to implement it. And banks and creditors may even not be interested in investing into it. And that is where the need to make a business case for it comes in. So once the ideas are screened for the stronger one to stand, it now becomes necessary for the company to actually do the cost benefit analysis and showcase that indeed the benefits that will accrue from the entertainment of such an idea will far outweigh the cost that is going to be incurred by either the company or any credit, any investor who may show interest into the program. So normally, it is important for a thorough technical feasibility report to be written to give out preliminary comments about all these facets. Then the third element of the stage gate model is the development of a prototype. So the third stage is all about turning the idea into a first working version, and normally we call it prototype. We call it prototype so that it can be tested to see if it actually works outside the idea which was existing on a paper or a theory that was propounded. The development aspect is also an instrumental component of the stage gate model because that is the point where management can be convinced that they are not only entertaining an idea from someone who is hallucinating, but rather they are entertaining a multi-billion dollar idea which requires all the attention, time, and talents of the organization. So it may require the building of, okay, I think I've even mentioned it. So you would build a prototype and experiment it to see whether it can actually bring all the elements of the theory into action. And that is where we are able to discern the technical or feasibility of the idea in practice. So that helps us to go beyond the theory to see whether the theory or the idea actually works. And that also provides the avenue for the 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 prototype or the model that has been generated to be tested for further improvements. And once these improvements is able to stand the test of time, then they can be eventually scaled up for mass production. Then the last stage of the stage gate model is the testing and validation stage. The testing and validation stage. The testing and validation stage also seeks to subject the prototype to different conditions in the laboratory and outside the laboratory to confirm whether it's that's what it has been projected to do. So, as part of the testing, an attempt is made to verify whether it actually follows the laid down telecommunication standards and also perform according to the real world metrics that have been laid down for uh, similar products that may be existing. But the intention is to verify whether it does superior performance than the existing ones. And this may require what we call system integration testing, wherein we get to test all the parts of the system which makes up the prototype to see whether indeed they work together as designed. And if there are any jitteries or hiccups as far as some of the components of the system is concerned, then that testing will expose it for further fine-tuning. Then there is also the need to make sure that it conforms to the laid down standards of that particular community so that it does not come across as it does not pose any risk to potential adopters or users. So as much as possible, it should be able to satisfy all the rules of engagement of that particular community in order for the prototype to be deemed as a valid one or a satisfactory one. So that is it as far as the stage gate model is concerned. Any questions so far?
Hello, Doc.
Yeah, Gershon.
So far, so good. I've been following, but there is something I wanted to ask. So the stage gate model. I don't
Yes.
know if I missed something yesterday, but then is there like is he one out of a group of models? And then I heard you also saying this particular model is one that best fits the one
Telecommunication
used in the
industry.
telecom industry.
Yes,
But so
in
I want to
fact,
find out, is there
yeah, there are
was
there are several models available. In fact, there is that of Christensen. And the Christensen is about 7 stages with several embedded iterative sections, which means that before a particular product or a particular idea is eventually scaled for commercialization, it may it may take a longer period of time for us to get there. But the stage gate model provides a comprehensive way of transforming ideas into prototypes that can be tested in the telecommunication industry. So if we were to be talking about, for instance, a product like an idea like having Ghana, I say, so an idea like having coming out with your own spices, cooking spices that are different from that of um, Remy spices and the spices, correct? Remy spices and what? Like the ones in the market. Then that one
hunger?
we would have gone for the Christensen one because it will require for us to first of all, be experimenting it at our own, within our own friends circles, family circles, before we even take it to the laboratory. But with the when it comes to the stage gate, then what actually maintains in the telecommunication industry, some of the tools and the ideas that are tested, if it is not controlled in the laboratory, you may end up causing a lot of harm or injuries to individuals that may be involved in the entire experimentation process. So there are several typologies that are available, but this one fits more for our discussion.
Okay.
All right. Any other question or contribution? Okay. Now, the strategic approaches to new product development. There are, beyond the stage gate model that can be adopted to transform an innovative idea which an individual or group of, like a project team in an organization may want to experiment with to see if, in fact, something suitable can come out of it. The entire development of a new product can also be tackled from four main strategic approaches. And the first one is what we call technology pioneering strategy. Technology pioneering strategy. And a typical example I can provide for this one is um, the competition on who can go to the moon with the best and efficient technology, right? Right now, the opportunity to pursue some of these ideas has become quite easier for other expertise such as Elon Musk and his entity to be pursuing it. But in the early is it 1800s, when Russia, US, and China were trying to champion this venture, the intention behind their strategy to do it was to at least end up with a particular scheme or product which will be the one that is going to set the standard in the markets, so that when they are successful, all others will now come and learn from them. So when you say you are using the technology pioneering strategic approach to a new product development, it implies that you are trying to bring out a brand new product very early, before official industry standards will be finalized, which implies that you are using all radical attempts to excel. And once you are able to excel, you get to gain the intellectual property or the ownership of that particular product, so that if anyone wants to also replicate your same processes, then they will have to pay a lot of diligence to your initiative. And the intention behind it is to be the first company in the market and possibly shape the discourse and standard that will be surrounding it. So that is the technology pioneering approach. A major benefit of this approach is that once it is successful, then it grants the company that has excelled in this treaty a lot of respect and autonomy in that particular community. So whenever there is a conversation about a particular avenue or a particular product which can attain solve a particular problem, then definitely you will be the go-to company for it, since you are the pioneer in it. But it is fraught with a number of challenges, including the risk which is going to be taken without any guarantee that all the efforts and time, the money that is being spent are going to yield fruitful results in the foreseeable future. Then there's also the modular platform design approach to new product development, the modular platform design. The fundamental philosophy behind the modular platform design is to build a foundational technology, or if you like, a core technology that can be reused across many products. So it's like you are creating a foundational product, and that foundational product can be recalibrated to achieve different purposes depending on the context and the needs they are trying to use it to address. And that implies that instead of starting from scratch, each time the product has to be improved upon, the initial design that has been put forth can be adapted or modified for different uses. And the goal is that you want future upgrades or the use of the product in different contexts to be readjusted to address their needs at a faster time without recourse to changes, still with recourse to changes within that particular time. And that will also afford the opportunity to achieve economies of scale. So depending on the context where the new technology is going to be applied, because since it affords room for it to be flexibly adapted, we can always make the necessary adjustments to accommodate the new changes and roll it out. So that is the modular one. And a typical example could be a situation where a single hardware is created for a phone to be adaptable to changing software and firmware, such that if in the interim the telcos are providing only 4G network services, the moment they scale it up to 5G, then the phone will still be compatible with it, but of course with some few upgrades to accommodate it. If this is how the new product is being designed to be accommodated to additional context or different networks, then we are talking about the modular platform design. So the new models of phones that are coming have that flexible and compatibility feature embedded in it, so that if, for instance, in Ghana, all the telcos, the highest, the highest, um, the highest bandwidth they are having is 4G. Then the phone will be able to adjust. And if 5G and other new generations start emerging into the Ghanaian markets, then the phones will be able to adjust. But of course, that platform should have been already made available in the phone's architecture. Then the agile innovation, which is more compatible with software development and service delivery initiatives. So the main idea behind agile innovations approach to strategically develop new products is that it seeks to develop products in small but quick cycles instead of one long process. And what this means is that the products that are going to be developed will have to, first of all, be starting from its simpler versions, which gets to be tested for feedback to improve upon the earlier simple versions. And this feedback will go a long way to improve it until it gets to a point in time where the product is actually relevant to the problems it is trying to solve in the market. So what this means is that the agile innovation provides a flexible avenue to be producing and updating a product from its simplest form until it gets to a pedestal where it is able to address the needs and concerns of targeted customers. And for that reason, it normally starts small, but the testing of these small versions is very, very fast in order to adjust to the feedback and the changing needs of the that particular community of practice to ensure the model is constantly improving to align with the expectations, the tastes and preferences of targeted customers. And that is why we say it is very much useful in the software, or if you like, if you take the telecommunication industry, it is particularly important in the software and their service delivery sections because those components are constantly changing and rapidly evolving, such that you may be in the lab thinking about a new generation of softwares that may be more relevant to your services. And by the time you set off to announce it, it is already obsolete because your competitors or someone might have beaten you to that particular test. So if you are working with an agile innovation strategy, it means you have a critical end in view that there is always room for improvement. So that if the need arises for you to go back to the drawing board to make the necessary modifications, that level of flexibility will allow you to flourish as far as the product development trajectory is concerned. Then the fourth one is what we constitute as the architecture-driven disruptions. Architecture-driven disruptions. The philosophy behind architecture-driven disruptions is to push the boundaries of existing models and the framework within which the models ensue to lead to what we call paradigm shifts, such that the new product that is eventually going to come into the industry will in fact, it will shape and lead to a total overhaul of the existing industry, which implies that instead of just making a product, the expectation is to design a new architecture that will change how the whole industry operates. And that is what we are currently um, experiencing with the inception of EVs, electric vehicles. And as we speak, Tesla and his squad, the Chinese one, how is it called? The Chinese EV, what is the name? They are now leading the discourse of sustainable vehicle productions, in the sense that the the technology that they are embedding in their EVs is such that it makes it more economical, rational, and it is able to make a strong case for us to transition from our traditional vehicles that use fuel and other forms of energy to actually embrace the EVs. And so normally the intention of architecture-driven disruption is to change the rules of the game by first of all building or creating an open system where those that are able to now shift the paradigm will be dictating the pace of innovation, whilst those that are struggling to catch up may be thrown out of business in no time. So that is the fourth approach. And this is a summary of the four strategic approaches that can be employed when it comes to new product development. For a new product to be developed, there are some specific benchmarks that it needs to satisfy, and these are what we characterize as the critical success factors. And this include system integration proficiency, which borders on the extent to make sure that the new product works perfectly with existing network systems. So if it is a telecommunication product that is going to come out, then it should have the ability to be compatible with existing network elements. So all the phones that are coming with 5Gs, 5G network elements, these phones are expected to also be compatible with LTE or 4G, so that if you move from a geographical area which does not have a 5G, then definitely it should be able to switch to the 4G or the LTE. And that is when a particular product that has been developed into the market is able to demonstrate these features, then we say it has a system integration proficiency. Then the second critical success factor that can be used to discern whether a new product is actually good one for the market is intellectual property management. Intellectual property management. So the ideas which are incubated, generated, and tested, which eventually becomes the new product in the market, is something that the organization should be able to protect. Other than that, it is going to be stolen by competitors who can imitate it with little or no difficulty. So there should be a mechanism in place to ensure that the IP of the idea is patented. So if the prototype or the final product came with a particular design, some algorithms, all these can be registered for, they can be filed for the patents to be granted to the organization, so that anyone um, that wants to use it will have to first of all consult the organization. And those that also infringe upon it will have to be dealt with. And the IP is going to be the basis that you can use to defend against your product. So it should be able to satisfy the IP filing such that the company gets to own it. And if you are unable to protect the intellectual property of the new product, then all your competitors are going to also replicate it to serve the same targeted customers, right? Then the third one is requirement integrity. Requirement integrity. The requirement integrity critical success factor is the idea that the new products should be able to it should be able to operate to address the needs of customers without any form of ambiguity to the engineers or the people that will be manning it. What this means is that the portions of the products or the portions that will be used to serve the customers may come across as nonsense or vague to customers, but those that are responsible for managing it should be able to interpret those vague components of it to customers into some specifications that are relevant. So at the end of the day, whoever is going to be the end operator of the product should be able to understand its nitty-gritties. Then cross-functional team. So when we say cross-functional, it should satisfy cross-functional team collaboration. It implies that everyone must work together across departments to ensure that the product sees the light of the day at the end of the day. And what this means is that it should be something that everyone who has a key role to play into its development should be willing and able to come. Willing and able to come on board. And in a typical organization, the development of a new product does not fall within the purview of only the research and development laboratory, but it may also require the services of maybe a system architecture who might not necessarily be at the center stage at the research and laboratory. It may also need feedback of the marketing or salesperson, particularly because they are constantly dealing with customers, or they may be conducting all the marketing research, and for that matter, may be privy to all the marketing analytics, which is required to be transformed into a viable product for the company. And so it should be able to bring cross-functional teams to work in sync to mutually support each other towards the development of the products. Then measurement of the new products success. These ones are straightforward, so when you go, you look at them. Now, we are going to consider the theme of building competencies through new product development. As expected, and in fact, if a new product development process is properly implemented, the anticipation is that the individuals that are playing key roles in the process are expected to be equipped with some knowledge, skills, and abilities, which will be very much valuable, not only now, but also into the foreseeable future. In the same vein, the organization which is also championing the new product development exercise is also going to have a repository, an organizational memory, which can be documented for future reference. For that reason, we can agree that by developing new products in an organization, it gets to build the competencies of the workforce and individuals that work in there for the company. Now, a number of core competencies are developed whenever there is a deliberate attempt to create a new product for an organization. And so we are going to consider some of the core competencies that individuals or an organization can build over time through new product development. Can you think of some of these competencies? What sort of competencies do you think an organization or individuals can build over time whenever they develop a new product over time? What sort of competencies? Hello?
Yes, Doc.
Hey, are you people there, or you are doing your own thing
We are here,
somewhere, and
bro.
I'm also talking plenty? So who heard my
No, we
question?
are.
Dog, we are here.
Who heard my question? Somebody should paraphrase for me to confirm if indeed you are there.
Okay, so you said competencies an organization or an individual builds over time as they develop new products.
And so what are some of these competencies in your candid opinion?
I would say excellence would be one of the skills because over time, as you become good at what you do, you would eventually become excellent at what you do. That's the
Very
first
good.
I would say.
Yeah,
Mm.
good. Apart from excellence, what else? Apart from excellence, you can also think of what about time management?
Yes, yes, exactly what I was about to say.
So
Because
how
when
will it lead to your development of the ability to manage time?
yes, because over time, when you do something over and over again, okay, let's say the first time you do something, the time spent shouldn't be the time spent doing it the second time, because uh, for the second time you would have seen where mistakes are, corrected your mistakes, and that would go a long way to positively affect your second attempt.
Okay. Okay.
Mm.
So it's it helps to improve your the the time that will elapse between your um, your initial trials and when you eventually get to master
The
the entire
subsequent,
process.
yes, okay, yeah.
Okay, what else? What other competency? Okay, so the new product development in organizations are normally uh, treated as a function or an activity of a team or a project group. So once the team is able to successfully carry the development of a product out over time, then they also acquire project management skills so that in the near future, when they are given the nod or there is an opportunity for an additional project to be handled towards the development of a project, then definitely they can tap into the experiences they harness during the initial project development to replicate it. Hey, you people, are you there?
Yes, Doc.
Okay, so what else?
I'm following.
I want you to be sharing your experiences because um, sometimes those examples and lessons you'll be pouring out will be easier to recall when you are maybe in the exam room or something than the things that I may end up spoon feeding you with.
Yeah. Okay, Doc, I believe this one should also um, uh, be should also come in here. So one of the things it does over time is that you are able to know your clients and manage them better. Why am I saying this? When you you develop products for people, for organizations or for individuals, over time you would receive a lot of comments. You would
Mhm.
receive reviews and all that, and you would know exactly what suits your customer, what they prefer in the product you offer them, what they don't like in the product. And based on all these reviews and feedbacks they give you, you would be able to better know the needs of your customer and know how to relate to them
Mhm.
um,
Precisely,
uh, a better product.
precisely. So, a key component that going through a new product development process will equip you with is it would change or transform your orientation towards customer service. Most
Okay.
often than not,
Okay.
most often than not, um, research and development labs that champion some of these new products into the markets work from an egocentric perspective. And why am I saying this? They are trying to build or bring into reality their own
So
dream.
sorry, the word again, ego.
Egocentrism.
Egocentric. Okay.
And say they are self-centered. It's like they are trying to paint
Okay.
a picture to satisfy their own imagination. But at the end of the day, it is not yourself that is going to be the only end user. Majority of the people which will end up using these new products are out there. So if you go through this new product development process, it helps you to depersonalize your imagination to be more outward looking in consideration to what actually should be the solution to your customers. And it is only that orientation which will help you get higher utility for your customers. Okay, what else?
Okay.
Is Beverly here? Beverlyn, yeah, Beverlyn. Is Beverlyn here? Shamira. Is Shamira too here?
Yes, dog.
Hey, today you are too quiet for my liking. In fact, today and yesterday.
You have to talk to your teacher. Yes.
Uh-huh. So I now understand why. Yeah. Semo. Any other?
No,
Okay.
just a contribution.
Uh-huh.
Before this course, we did a course, organizational leadership
Yeah.
and decision making. And there was something you said. I just want to see how I can relate something Prof.
Teresa
Uh,
said.
Teresa said to it. You know, in so she said in leadership we have um, like different styles of leadership,
Yeah, different
and
leadership
I
traits.
want to yes, different leadership traits. We have the behavioral type also, where leaders behaving um, in a certain way based on the situations at hand. I
Mm.
want to relate it to something you said about the egocentric,
Yeah.
where organizations are looking within themselves to
Mm.
come up with innovations. Having a leader, let me relate it to uh, the trait, leadership by trait. Having,
Okay.
um, let's say, a leader within an organization who is looking within the organization to come up with ideas or to come up with innovations without wanting to, or without first maybe seeking what the market demands for in order to come up with a product. A leader like this, or sorry, let me not say a leader, an organization like this, what kind of organization would you say it is? Is it an organization that has the right leadership, or is an organization that doesn't have the right leadership? Another way I also put it is, should it always the word you use egocentric,
Egocentric, yeah.
looking yes, looking within themselves. Is that the way it should always be, or it's something organizations naturally are prone to?
Okay.
Eh, I
So
don't know if you get my question.
yeah. So
I mean, is that how it's always? Is that how the case is always? That
okay.
organizations look within themselves before coming up with innovations or
Yeah, okay.
something like that.
So naturally, that is how we've been programmed to operate. And within the organizational setting, it's an aggregation of individuals with different temperaments. So what naturally happens whenever they want to bring a new product is that um, instead of falling on maybe the marketing analytics, which is residing in one of their databases, to actually understand the needs and the expectations of customers, they may go with an idea that one of the bosses in one of the meetings proposed. simply because that particular person is very much powerful and he is also perceived to be an authority in the area, forgetting that the larger business environment does not revolve around such individuals. So normally, if you have a setup that is not ready to look outward, but always kowtow to the directive of somebody perceived to be very much powerful, then you are likely to have that sort of egocentric temperament fueling the development of products. And this will not alter well for organizations when they decide to go by only looking within, right? If you take a broader look at the business environment, the internal elements or forces influencing the success or otherwise of the organization is under their control. And it is just a fraction of the larger business environment. Majority of them, the supervening ones, the unpredictable ones, are actually outside. And normally it is so last time we were talking about the resource-based view and the industrial organizational view. You realize that most of the factors that can actually determine your success or failure, it is just a fraction of them that are within your control, which is found within your organization. So best practice will recommend that in as much as you may begin with some ideas that are found within your organization, it is always important that you look outward to see what the bigger picture is. Other than that, you may end up operating on an island with some products and services that is not really interesting to anyone. But linking it to your leadership theories that you were talking about, it depends on the typology of leadership that you are using to analyze, right? And the theoretical underpin of that leadership. So if you are going by the trait theories to make a justification for why people tend to be, or organizations tend to be egocentric, they will tell you that that is how those leaders were born, or that is how individuals are born to be self-centered or egocentric. And so anytime we have some beautiful ideas or dreams and it is aggregated within the organization, we tend to be more fixated and preoccupied with it rather than looking outward. And so there is nothing that can be done about it because it is human nature. Right? That is what a typical trait theorist will tell you. However, someone analyzing it from a behavioral approach or a typical behavioral theorist like J.B. Watson, Albert Bandura will contend that even though we are born with certain preoccupations, egocentrism traits, and they can also aggregate to help an organization look more inward, there is room for us to learn the best practices out there. And that is why most of you are even here coming back for your master's degree. Because if you cannot learn to modify your inadequacies and overcome your inefficiencies, there is no need for going to the classroom to learn or to trying to further your education. So the behavioral school of thought will argue that we should acknowledge those weaknesses in an organization and stay high alert, such that at any point in time, we will be blending or cushioning some of the interesting insights that may be generated from within the organization with the broader picture that maintained in the world of work. I can even go on to scale it up with the contingency approach, which will say that you have to be more interested with a critical end in view, not necessarily with the um, with the temperaments fueling the new ideas which are coming, or the behaviors that are going to modify the temperament for it to yield favorable results. But you should be centered with the critical end which is in view. And these are normally determined by the problems you are trying to solve. So you get to be more pragmatic. If under such circumstance, the attendance to looking inward is the best solution to the problem, then you endorse it and implement. But if at the end of the day, we have to be more careful and looking outward, then you do the same. So that is the little commentary I can give
Okay,
as far as
thank
the
you very much.
linkage to the leadership typologies is concerned. Okay, we've done enough for today. So we pause here and continue, God willing, Monday. My plan is that from Monday till Friday, we will be doing more of presentations and discussions. And for that reason, I am going to put together the specific teams that we will be tackling each week and the portions that each of you are supposed to prepare and come and speak to. So, God willing, I have a number of things in my fridge. Is Bevelyn here? Oh, Bevelyn is not online. Kindly inform Bevelyn,
We
or any
will, we
of
will
you
inform
should
her.
remind me.
We will inform her.
Yeah, any of you should remind me, God willing, latest by Sunday, but I'll prefer tomorrow, mid-morning, to put together all the things that I said I was going to do, including the